Hey guys, welcome back to another review. I hope, this time I'm going to go back and do some 3 3/4 inch, show that line some love. Um, haven't had much of the 3 3/4 line lately. I've sort of been reviewing 6 inch figures mostly, but picked up this guy last week and Captain Rex, obviously, from the latest wave of the Black Series. Not as disappointed in this guy as I thought I would be. Toy World is a chain of stores here. Most of them are sort of regional, out of the big cities these days. They used to be everywhere, but a lot of them closed down over the last few years. But I've got one local in my town, and they were having a sale where the 3 3/4 inch figures were down to $10, down from 20. Normally 20, which is why I don't often go there, and it just says a lot about their pricing, which is obviously why some of the stores are failing. But for $10, I was quite happy to grab a couple of figures. So I picked up Rex and John Dutch Vander. So finally got those two figures that I wanted. There were a couple of Dooms there and another Thorn, but I just picked up those two. So, like I said, this Rex isn't actually as bad as I thought it would be. It's a lot better now that I have it in my hand. There's definitely a few flaws with this one, but overall, it's a pretty solid figure, and I'm pretty happy with him. He looks good. Sort of playing with him around a little bit during the week, and yeah, he's sort of growing on me a little bit more. We've obviously had clone troopers of a much higher quality in the past, which is unfortunate they couldn't stick with that. Like the Cody from the Vintage Collection, that's probably one of the best. It's just a pity they couldn't stick with that quality. So, but this one, he's still pretty cool. I'm happy to have him in my collection. Just as a bit of a, I might try and bring this. This is the animated one from 2013. Second release of the Phase 2 Captain Rex from the Clone Wars with the articulated knees. So I just thought I'd bring him down just for a few little comparisons and a couple of thoughts that I have. So yeah, overall, he's not too bad. We'll have a good close-up look at his head, at his helmet. Just come to the light a bit more. There we go. So overall, it's not too badly painted. It's all the decals are where you want it. All the tally marks are actually really nicely applied. The J guys, and the weld marks are actually really nicely done. The weld marks are actually part of the sculpting, which is really nicely done, to be honest. I didn't think they'd go down that route, like they did with the Clone Wars one, where it's just a few little blue lines just to show that's where the weld marks are. But the way they painted it, it looks pretty good. Unfortunately, they didn't do the same thing down here. That's just paint marks. There's none of the molding there, and that doesn't look as good as what they did on the helmet. But overall, I'm a big fan of the design of the helmet. This, unfortunately, his little rangefinder isn't articulated at all. There was a little bit more plastic in between that. I took a sharp knife and cut a little bit of plastic out of that in between the groove between the helmet and the actual rangefinder. So just tidied that up a little bit. But overall, it's pretty good. A lot of people I've seen have actually put the Clone Wars helmet on this figure as a trade-off. I don't know. I think this helmet looks reasonably well scaled. Maybe a little small, but I think this one's probably a little big in comparison. I mean, it's an animated style, so it's not a big problem, but it's still cool. But overall, I think that's pretty nicely painted. Especially on those weld marks, I was pleasantly surprised. They've done a pretty good job. We've got his pauldron, his Commander pauldron, which looks pretty good. It's alright. We'll look at this one. Paint's a lot more cleaner on the Clone Wars one, and just pops a little bit nicer. Once again, that comes down to probably the animation style, but I just feel that one's a lot cleaner. The sculpting on the Clone Wars one's a lot nicer when you compare the pouches. But that's okay. The rest of the paint's pretty tidy. More kill marks on his hands and forearms. And same there. The paint apps up, unfortunately, on that aren't straight. You probably can't tell where you can sort of just see there on the grey dots. You can see where the proper circles are. So it's not overly accurately applied, unfortunately, but that's not a big deal. I have actually glued that pauldron down just so it sits flatter. That's for a little bit more movement in the head, which is nice, just without wobbling that thing around too much. Unfortunately, the Karma is probably where some of the paint apps just fails a little bit on the belt. You can see just on the top of the pouches there. Just a little bit lazy there, but I'll tidy that up a little bit. And around the gun holsters, just a little bit of paint bleeding. So just a little bit lazy in that aspect, but not too bad. The legs are pretty good. Once again, got a few kill marks on each of his shins. Overall, not a bad looking figure. Articulation's pretty solid. He's got the ball jointed head, ball hinge shoulders, which you can get that sort of shoulder bell under the shoulder armor. Just be careful with it, because sometimes they don't. But it will sort of slide under there a little bit, so you can get those arms up. It's got the ball hinge in the elbows. Tempted to sort of just shave a little bit out there, just so comes at a bit more of an angle. And then he's got the swivel wrist with the hinge in the hand as well. So you can move those hands up and down. Which again is pretty nice. Only the swivel at the waist, which is a downgrade, let's be honest. And the swivel in the hips, which is also a downgrade, but again, it's not terrible. Ball hinge in the knees and the ankles. So for the most part, they got all the joints the right colour. He's a pretty decent looking figure. In terms of his Clone Wars counterpart, they're both pretty decent figures. So I'm pretty happy with this Rex. Still, I don't know. A realistic Phase 1 would have been cool, but you know, that would have been pretty easy to do. But they've obviously got this new, pretty affordable way to do the Phase 2 clones, so I dare say we'll probably see a few more of these. But we'll see. It's not long now until Force Friday, and we'll be getting all the Force Awakens products, some of which are already on shelves here in Australia. Target have been putting a few products out. No one's been able to buy them though, so they ring up at the counter as do not sell until September 4th. So most stores, I imagine, have taken everything off the shelf. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be there at midnight for Force Friday. Got the day off work, so that's a bonus. And yeah, I'll be picking up as much as I can afford. Let's be honest. Looks like we are getting some Force Awakens Black Series figures too. I know a lot of people have been panicking because the only 3 3/4 line that's been revealed so far, unintentionally, is the Saga Legend style 5-point of articulation. But I believe there was someone on Instagram posted a price tag from a shelf, like a shelf talker price barcode from a shelf in the Canadian store. I'm not sure where exactly, but I'm not sure if it was like a Walmart or something. I'm not sure, but they said it basically said SW episode 7 Black Series 3.75. So that leads me to believe that we will be getting some, maybe not as many as we're going to get in the 5-point of articulation line, but that's okay. We'll see what happens. I've got no idea, to be honest. But anyway, guys, I've kept you long enough. Thank you very much for watching. I recommend this guy if you can get him for a good price. Like I said, I got him for $10, so I'm not complaining about that. I'm happy to add this guy to my collection. And I'm just about up to date, so yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Until my next video, may the Force be with you.